What is flesh gospel? What is flesh gospel? The gospel of flesh or the flesh gospel? What is it? What is it? And why is it so serious? Why is it so serious? I want you to listen to this. I'm going to, for shortly, I'm going to just break down something that is very important. And some of you that goes to church, or used to go to church, a lot of people who has had problem in the church, and they left the church. There's many people you always hear they had some type of problem that caused them to leave that church to go to another church, or you have some people who completely get out of the church or out of religion, period, because of something that someone done, something that happened that really slapped them in the face and say, this can't, I can't do this. You know, if you were to take the body, if you were to take the body of Jesus Christ and remove the body and had the spirit, and had the spirit, and those who was following Christ, and he was invisible, the only way they would be able to follow Christ if somehow he would let them know physically, or they must become invisible too. Now, now, Jesus is, say for instance, so Jesus invisible and the disciples invisible. Okay. And then you go on and Jesus begins to preach, but no one understands him because he's invisible. Then Jesus finds people who are invisible. So in the invisible, they can understand each other and they can see each other in the invisible. I want you to check this out. In the invisible, they can see each other and understand each other in the invisible. And the invisible represent the spirit. Okay. That's the reason why, though they may hear his voice and he's invisible, they do not understand because he's talking from uh he's talking from, first of all, he's talking about, and he's revealing the invisible. Okay. When Jesus said that he will die and rise again on the third day, even though that was flesh, but the people can understand the flesh, but they can't understand the invisible meaning. They can't understand the invisible meaning. When 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 it talks about his blood, it is talking about the invisible meaning. Like, say for instance, the stripes on him The stripes that Jesus um, has received is for our healing. The reason why it happened in the flesh, okay, it happened in the flesh, but the meaning is invisible. Listen to what I'm saying now. The meaning is invisible. The meaning is hidden. The blood of Christ, though people may talk about the blood of Christ and have songs and talk about the blood of Christ, but the meaning is invisible. The effect of everything that Jesus done in the physical, the effect is in the spirit, is in the invisible. Listen to what I'm saying now. Listen to what I'm saying now. The effect of everything that Christ done, you can see it in the physical, but the meaning is invisible. This is the reason why people can talk to you about the blood of Christ. They can talk to you about the blood of Christ. They can talk to you about things that are physical. Do you understand? They can talk to you about those things, but the meaning is spiritual. It's unseen. Listen to what I'm saying now. See, the form, you can see Christ on the cross. The form, you can see Christ healing a blind man, raising the dead. You can see that in the form, but the power, the power, the meaning is power, but it's invisible. It's invisible. This is why God wants us to walk not by sight, but by faith in him. Because he wants us to understand the invisible, the spirit, the invisible. Your war is not in the physical, it's in the spiritual. Do you understand? It's in the spiritual. You don't see Satan walking around. You don't see demons walking around. You don't see demons pointing their fingers at you and unless they use a body. They use a body, listen to this, they use a body to do certain things, but you can win if you understood that you must deal with them in the invisible. So listen to this, listen to this, listen to this. When Jesus said, you must deny yourself to follow him, he wasn't talking physical. Listen to this. When Jesus says, deny yourself, and he says this in the physical, the meaning is invisible. The meaning of the things of God is invisible. If you live in the physical, you will live in the flesh. You will live in the form. You will live without the power. You will live without the meaning. You're living in the form. The form doesn't change you. Listen, it can look like what the meaning is, but if you never been in the meaning, if you never dwell in the meaning, when you dwell in the spirit, you dwell in the meaning of everything that God has done. When you dwell in the spirit, when Jesus was saying, deny yourself, I'm telling you what he was doing. What God was doing is not what, see, you see it as words in the flesh, and you're looking at Jesus in the flesh. When they looked at, when a young man said, how can I follow you? I want to follow you. And Jesus says, you must deny yourself. Do you understand what he's saying? He's saying that he was telling him, you must dwell in the invisible. You must dwell in the invisible. See, when you dwell in the invisible, you will walk in faith in this world. Faith, listen to this. Faith in this world is supernatural. Faith in this world is supernatural. Faith in this world. When you see, listen to this. What you have done in the spirit, you have communicated in the spirit, and what you do in the physical, you communicate in the physical, the spirit. That's what faith does. That's what faith does. When you look around everything that is going on in your life, if you are caught up in the physical, then and then you try to use God in the physical, what you're doing, you're taking forms. You're trying to use forms, and forms don't have power. You can use forms and you can change things in the physical, in the ways of form. Do you understand? But you have to use form to change things in the physical. You have to use forms against forms. When you begin to deny yourself, you begin to be in the invisible. Christ is saying, you can't follow me, you can't see me, you can't understand me, you won't know what I'm doing, you won't understand what I'm saying if you are dwelling more in the form than the invisible. I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying. I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying. So let me just say, because I'm finna get off here. Let me say this here. The reason why you see the church and you see all these things going on is because they're using forms. Witchcraft is forms. Listen to what I'm saying now. Witchcraft is forms. They're using forms against forms. When Satan failed, he began, listen, even though he is unseen, even though that Satan is unseen, you got to understand. Let me show you something. When Adam and Eve sinned and God cursed them, listen to this. When he cursed them that they may live by forms. Satan, when he was cursed, he became the god of forms, which means you got to understand God. God don't see him as a god. I want you to understand this. He don't see him as a god. It's just that he's invisible, but he is forms. Do you understand? He is the manifestation of forms. Do you understand? He is the manifestation of forms. That's why he is called the God of forms. He is the God of forms. Do you understand? It's because he was the one that failed. He failed first. And because you know, when you talk about entity, invisible entity, and when you see something that is invisible entity and it has some type of power, then that means it has some type of rank. Satan has a rank, and the other angels has ranks. Do you understand? Just like certain demons, they have ranks. But you gotta understand now, they only have it in the forms. They don't have it in the spirit, only in the forms. Now, when we talk about the spirit of Christ, when he says deny yourself, what he's saying that he's talking about being in the spirit of God. Do you understand? So the person in the world can be in the spirit of Satan. Do you understand? But it still forms. It still forms. Because Satan, what he does is to get people to worship him through their five senses. Because Satan don't know anything about the spirit world. Listen to this. There's a lot of people want to say, well, the witchcraft is a spirit world, and then Jesus has a spirit world. No, it's only one spirit world. I'm telling you what it is. It's only one spirit world. They are evil. They are evil. Do you understand? And they are not in, listen to this, they are not in the spirit. They are in a form. They are in a form which is spirit. Do you understand? They're in the flesh. Do you understand? They're in the flesh, what they call spirit. Only reason why they call it spirit is because they are unseen. Now, Jesus revealed God the Father. He revealed it to the Samaritan lady. He said that God is a spirit. You got to understand, Satan is an angel. Listen to this, if he was a spirit in the spirit world, he will be holy. He was cast out into the form. Do you understand? The form, they call it the carnal mind. See, the carnal mind, it looks like it's spiritual, but it's not. It's not. When the Bible says he's the God of this world, you got to understand what he's saying, because he says the form, you got to understand, the flesh profits nothing. The form, he is the God of forms, but only the forms of the flesh. He can't be the God of holiness. He can't be the God of pureness. He can't be the God of the things of God in the spirit. God created everything in the spirit, and it was good, because God is in the spirit. Satan is not in the spirit no more. It just seems like he's in the spirit because he's an entity and he is invisible. He's in the spirit, but he's not in the spirit of God. He's in the spirit of flesh. That's the reason why, I don't know if you know this, many demons has to dwell in a body. Why? Because they're of form. They're of the spirituality of form. That's their spirituality, form. That's why people are deceived when they see a prophet. They see a prophet prophesied and whatever. People can be deceived because they are dwelling in the form. Their mind is in the form. The preachers preaching, they're in the form. That's why it's a lot of music that is sung today. That sounds good, but they're a form. And the only way you're going to know the difference if you begin to walk with Christ, which means you begin to deny yourself. When you begin to deny yourself, you'll find yourself in the spirit of God. You're not living by form. Listen to this. Form is not why you live now. Life in you is the life of Christ, because he has died for sin and he has rose. You have the life of Christ. Listen to this, so you don't get this confused. A lot of people they're so animated. They're so animated because what preachers preach when they preach motivation scriptures, you become animated. The scriptures of God becomes animated in your mind. You begin to live an animation life in the world by using God. You become animated because they preach motivation. And you treat God, and your relationship with God is animated. But when you begin to receive the real true preaching that God has sent from him, it will be about him. It's not going to be about motivation. It's going to be about change. Motivating is always talking about, listen to this. It's called pacifying the flesh. Pacifying the flesh. What do you mean by pacifying? When a baby is whining, you're trying to get that baby pacified. Because the baby's trying to figure out, the baby's crying, you're trying to get that baby to pacify. The baby don't want the bottle, so you have to pacify to give the baby, because the baby's already full. The baby don't need no milk, don't need no bottle. Even if the baby crying for a bottle, you're gonna have to wing them into using a pacifier. That is what motivation preaching is. You're whining because something is wrong in your life. You're whining because something is going on and it ain't right. So you're whining about your husband. You're whining about your wife. You're whining about your car, your financial. You're whining about the way the world is doing. You're whining about this and everything. And so when they preach to you and motivate you, they give you a pacifier. All you have is a pacifier. You're not changing, which means you're not getting the meaning because it's not in the spirit. Do you understand that preacher that's preaching, it's not in the spirit? It can't change you. It can't change you. But when that preacher is preaching and he begins to say, you must die to the flesh, he's saying the same thing that Jesus said. To follow me, you must die in your flesh. You must die to yourself. Because he's revealing that you must live in the spirit. You must live in the invisible and have faith in the physical. You must live in listen to this. You must live, you must receive, you must learn in the spirit. But when you're in this earth, you must live, and you must listen. You must live by the faith. In this flesh, you must live by faith. In this flesh, you must live by faith in this world. And the only way you're gonna live by faith in this world, if you are denying self and you're in the spirit and you're receiving communication from God. I'm talking about from God. I can look at people and see them on social media talking and they're not receiving from God. They are living an animated Christian life. Even those who think that they take the word and they judge it like the law, but they're not dying to self. They're not listening to what I'm saying. They're not listening to Christ, what Christ's saying. They don't realize they are hypocrites and they're judging other people and they're not dying to self is because they, in their mind, they don't think they need to do that. They don't think that they need to do that. I'm telling you what I see. They don't think that they need to do that. But you just watch. You just watch how time goes. How time goes. How time goes. Many people have seen many people who was in the church or in their family who say they love God and they have died on. You might not believe, but many people have died and it wasn't their time. I'm telling you this. God knows I'm telling you the truth. If you in the flesh and you call yourself a Christian, you will die before your time. If you in the flesh and you're a Christian, you will die before your time. I'm telling you this now. I'm telling you. Because dying is in, listen, dying is in the form. If you live in more in the form is, listen, the form is deteriorating because there's no life of understanding. The person is not dwelling in the life of understandings. Everybody trying to put it all on Christ. Do you understand? They're trying to put it all on Christ when Christ has opened all the doors that we may walk into them. Oh no, I just whenever I go through, I just give it to Christ, give it to God. Are you changing? I just give it to God, I just give it to God, I just give it to God. No, I'm not changing. I know God is working with me. I know one day that I stop doing this. Are you seeking God? Are you desiring for God to change you? I have never thought about that. You know how many people have never thought about desiring God to change them from lust, from fornicating or adultery and this and that. It's a lot of people, they're not, I'm telling you, they sitting around not dying to self. I'm telling you this. I'm telling you, there's a lot of, they've been fooled. The Antichrist has fooled them about dying to self. It's like this. I'm going to show you something. When Jesus says, to follow me, you must deny yourself. Now, if Satan can take denying self and make that as small to the point where you're not seeking for that understanding. So what's going to happen? You're going to be a Christian who live an animated faith life. You're going to put a church together. You're going to have friends. You're going to have friends. You fellowship. You're going to pray about things, and you're going to be dwelling in self-righteousness. Self-righteousness is the definition of a Christian who has not died to self. Self-righteousness is a Christian who has not died to self. They have not died. They have not died to self. I want you to think about it. To be in the flesh is to go, listen, you were saved out of the flesh, now to go back into the flesh as a Christian. What is it? What is God is trying to say? What is he trying to reveal? If you notice, when people are tempted, they're tempted by things that are in the flesh. I'm gonna say it again. You hear these people that say, "Oh, I'm just trusting God's process," and you ask them, "Are you desiring that God change you in your flesh?" And they say, "Well, I'd have just left that to God." Are you desiring it daily? Are you desiring that God may kill the flesh? Are you desiring that the lust will leave? A lot of people are not desiring that lust to leave. A lot of people are not desiring that certain things of the world leave, and they're going to give you an excuse why they're not desiring. Like, say for instance, you got some celebrities that are Christians, and they will tell you that they will tell you that they know God, and God bless them, and they know that God is working with them, and everything that they would do, you will see that they are tempted in the flesh, because you will see the results in their life will be the manifestation of 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 the devil of the devil seduction. You will see the devil seduction. So if they've been used to do the bits of Satan, and they said, well, God know who they are, God know them. If you ask them, you say, oh, well, are you desiring God to change you? Like, say for instance, you got this $5 million contract, and the scene that you're doing is the manifesting Satan seduction. Are you seeking God that God may change you? Are you seeking that God may change that desire that you have in your heart to continue to do that acting? Are you seeking God that he may change you from the desires of this world? Some men, I'm telling you, some men got 3 or 4 women, and they know Christ, they know God, and some women got sugar daddies, and they're Christian. If you ask them, are they desiring that God may change their ways? They will sit there and have to think about if they want their ways to be changed. This is what's going on. People are not desiring their ways to be changed. And God knew that this was going to come to pass. God knew this. It's been in the earth for so long, and God knew that they will not desire their ways to change. See, if you can get a person to desire that change their ways, God will do something right then. God will, I'm telling you, if you can get, just like your kids, if somehow you can ask God to give you wisdom, give you wisdom. And if you can say to your child, desire, when you pray, desire God's ways, and put it in their prayer. Father, I desire all your ways to be in my life. And you put it in their prayer. 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 Look what you're doing. You put it in their prayer. Do you not know the church has not preached about seeking God ways that we may change from our ways? Because they did not want to lose the people in their church, especially if the board that is unholy, you got a board that maybe one person might be right, might be after God a little bit, but the rest of the people on the board, they don't have no unction of the Spirit. The only thing they're thinking about, they looking at everything about the church in a in an animated life. They looking at what they can prosper from this preacher. Oh, this is a good preacher here. Oh, he gonna bring people in. That means he gonna bring more money. Yeah, he gonna bring more money. I'm telling you, there's some churches right now that are Baptist churches, Church of God in Christ. I'm telling you, there's some churches, some big churches right now, especially one in Georgia. I'm not going to name the name of it. And they got this certain preacher in there. The reason why everybody was questioning, why would they get him over there? And they put him over there and they put him in their church, is because I'm telling you, the board is wicked. The board is not about God. It's about prosperity, prosper first. It's not about God. Or you would never have heard the things that you have heard and seen the things that you have seen come from a big church like that, that does not represent purity in God. They do not represent desiring the holiness of God, denying self. You're a witness. See, the Antichrist is hidden in self. His whole molecule, his whole ambition, his whole envisionment is what makes self tick. Think about it. If Jesus says a wolf in sheep clothing, think about what he's saying. In self. Why he had to have a sheep on? Why he had to have a sheep on? Why do the wolf have to have a sheep? It's because the wolf is in self. The sheep looks like each other. The sheep looks like each other. That's self. So the wolf has to put on the same thing that caters to them in this world. That's why they don't know the wolf. People don't know the wolf because the wolf is them, in the self. But if they desire God's righteousness, like a man who has been in the desert, who needs water in their life, they will see the fake skin on the wolf. They will see the self skin that the wolf is carrying on. This is why he says, I'm like you. Why? The wolf desires sin. He desires mistakes. He don't desire righteousness. He don't desire anything pure. He tells you the same thing. He says, you know we can't be right. God knows we can't be right. You know why he's saying that? Because he knows in your flesh can yearn for lust. Your flesh can yearn for lust. He knows this. He is the author and the finisher of lust. Satan is the god of lust. He is the god of temptation. He is the god of lust. Yeah. So as we go on in this world, you're going to see flesh. What is the power of flesh? Lust. What is lust? Self. Self. You're seeing the rise of self. When you see so many people getting money, getting rich, and they're not saved, they're not in God, they're not seeking his righteousness, they're not seeking death to self. You got to understand, Satan will make you rich because God says a rich man, he can desire all the riches and lose his soul because he love passion, he love money, and to love money is the root to all evil. If someone can get you to love money, if you have been poor for so long and you have not sought God, or you sought God, you prayed to God, but if somebody made you rich, many people they would deny God. You're going to see so many people be rich. You're going to see so many people get what they want, but not by the hands of God. They are going to deny God. They're going to drive their cars. They're going to have it on them stations. They're going to be Christians. They're riding around in expensive cars. They got money coming in. But you got to understand what I'm saying. They have denied God. It's because they never sought to deny self. When you don't seek to deny self, you deny God. When you deny self, you're not denying God. Do you get that? And when people not finna deny, listen, people not finna deny self. We're living in a time where people is not finna deny self. They're not. And the more they get, they're not going to deny self. Do you see the work of the enemy? You can be around somebody and y'all can talk about God and this and that. And then in a few minutes, they get to talking about themselves or somebody else's self. And they get to talking and you try to get them to say, well, you need to just deny yourself and let God change that in your life. And they'll be like, no, God give us common sense. I used to hear this all alone, man. I heard it so much. People in the church would say, God give us common sense. Man, they use that as an excuse to not die to self. God don't give you common sense unless it's common sense that it has dying to self. He don't give you common sense to have your own wisdom to make your own decision and your life. And you say, oh, and you hear people, oh, God gave us common sense. I've heard it when I was young in the church. I heard it so much. I said, that don't make any sense what they're saying. God said the carnal mind. So why do preachers want you to live in the carnal mind but be a saint? It's because of self-gratification. You got listen, people want to look good. Listen to what I'm saying. There's a prophet, he said that ain't nobody can outbeat him prophesying. And ain't nobody can outbeat him prophesying. And he's got this all on social media. You listen, he got a tape right now. I'm telling you, he said it openly. You know how many people following him? You know how many people are following this man? They'll follow this man, and this man spoke openly. No one in the Bible that follow Christ will ever boast. Boast is the devil himself if you boast in the things of God. Paul never boasts. These writers of the same Bible that this prophet is preaching from, these writings of these men and women of God in this Bible, they have learned and understand that God has called us to yield, not to boast. When you're around somebody boasting, you need to pray inside, especially if they're a Christian. I got 10 cars. I got 1 car. I got a Cadillac. I got money in the bank. If you're around somebody that is boasting and not dying, just pray inside for them. And if you're weak, pray for yourself too. That is not the ways of God. We're living in a time, listen to me, we're living in a time where self is manifesting. We're living in a time self is manifesting. And if you're seeking God the right way, God is going to make it plain to you. He's going to make it plain to you. If you're seeking God the wrong way, you're not going to understand nothing I said. In this whole entire 45 minutes, you will not understand not one word. Jesus was in the spirit because he wasn't in self. Satan tried to tempt him to get in self. Jesus refused because listen, because Jesus knew where Satan dwells. His throne is in self. Is in the flesh world. The emotions, listen, the power, his deceptive, deceive. Jesus' doctrine, it started with deny self. It started. With anybody follow him, it started with that. That's the reason why the disciples was drawn to him and they did not know why and how. Later on, they find out it was the spirit. Then they find out that it wasn't of themselves. Peter then become a disciple of himself. Nathaniel, Matthew, Luke, Titus, Paul, Mary, Magdalene, they never done anything of themselves. So if you dwelling in the spirit, when you coming to God to teach me to yield, Father, to yield to you, Lord God. Oh Lord, teach me your righteousness. Teach me to yield, Father, to walk in your pureness and your perfectness. Teach me, Father, to walk as Christ has walked. The same spirit that was in Christ is in me. The same spirit that was in Christ is in me. Though that Christ did not have no sin, and I have sin, because he has died, and because he has walked, because he was led, and because he have heard your voice, he has made a way for me to hear, to walk, and to be guided by your spirit, by sanctifying me through his body, which did not sin, but I am a sinful person. But he sanctified me that I may have the spirit and that I may be taught of you, Father, that I may be taught the perfect way, even though that I am a sinner. You have washed me and cleansed me, and I desire what I'm seeing. I'm desiring to be what you have cleansed me for, what you have cleansed me with, what you have cleansed me in. I seek to be in and above, to be above this world. Glory to God. Listen, y'all be blessed. I'll talk to you later. God bless you.